Gentlemen, welcome to part 2 of the Letters from Dad training, the planning and promotion phase. I have here with me today Monty Strother. I'm Elton Rocker. Monty, most of you have probably spoken to him at one time or another. He's the National Director for Letters from Dad. I'm Elton Rocker, Operations Manager here, and we're going to walk you through the planning and promotion phase of Letters from Dad, which is a key area because in order for anything to come together and work well, it needs to be planned well. All right?
Yeah, that's right.
And we have pulled together in much a trial and error sort of way over the past years on a recipe for success. And the ingredients that go into this recipe we found work very well and will move you toward a very successful Letters from Dad event. There are 4 parts to it. One is the planning phase. We're going to be talking about that right now in this particular section. And promoting, we'll cover that also. And then the party, the kickoff event, which we'll be doing in the next section of training. And then in the final section, we'll be talking, of course, about the preparing for and actually leading those Letters from Dad sessions. All right. The first thing you want to do in your plan is to build your team and to set your dates. Now, Monty, why is it so important for our guys to actually get some dates on the calendar?
Well, you know, Zig Ziglar said it, I think, best years and years ago. If you don't give men a target to aim at, they're going to hit it every time. And that is a critical component, guys. Once you set your date, then you can start backtracking with the specific steps that we're going to be sharing today.
Right. Now turn to page 6 in your training manual if you have it. If you don't, that's fine. You can just take notes as we're moving along in here. But if you have your training manual there, you can turn to page 6 and you can see the Letters from Dad timeline. And you see the big red circle that we have on the screen. That circle is representing 4 weeks before your actual kickoff event. We've circled that because we know that that is the minimum amount of time needed to launch a successful Letters from Dad event. So that's the minimum amount of time. All right. We suggest and encourage you to really get your planning and promoting done before that, but we know that it takes the minimum to get everything going, put everything in place so that you have a successful Letters from Dad kickoff.
Amen.
All right. One of the things that we've found over these years is social media has become more and more popular and more people are using it. We want you to take advantage of that to notify men in your church and community about what's going on with Letters from Dad. All right. And Monty, tell the guys what we're wanting them to do and how we're going to help them promote their Letters from Dad event from here also.
Absolutely. Guys, almost all of us are on Facebook. As a matter of fact, Facebook is growing so rapidly. I think there's going to be 1 billion people on Facebook by the end of 2011. And interestingly enough, people are spending so much more time on Facebook reading their Facebook posts and the posts of their friends more than they are the newspaper sometimes. So we encourage you guys to take advantage of that, leverage it by creating an event, and you'll find those opportunities on every Facebook page on the left-hand side. We've got one indicated right there. By posting that event and encouraging everyone in the church and your friends and their friends to share this event, it will literally go viral in a week. And guys, you cannot fathom the power of that promotion piece if you take advantage of it.
Now, and secondly, what we want you to do is let us know when you do that.
Absolutely.
And we'll like your event, and we'll post it on our Letters from Dad page as well, which we get hundreds and hundreds of views every week. So other men in your community and around the nation will see your event posted. All right, and don't forget other social networks also, such as Twitter and LinkedIn. There's a lot of things you can do to spread the word using social media. So take advantage of that, and we'll help you do it.
Just give us a call. We'll help you.
We'll walk you through that if you're not very familiar with those particular tools. All right, the science behind the Letters from Dad timeline. All right, why do we need a timeline? Why do we need deadlines? Well, it's exactly what Monty mentioned before. Men have to have a target. We need something to shoot at, a goal to go for, and so that we can plan, and then everything backs up from there. So men need definitive delivery dates and impending events to hold them accountable.
Absolutely.
That's just kind of the way we're wired.
Well, it's kind of like our to-do list that we get. We try to have deadlines when we want to get those done. That way we feel like we've accomplished something.
Now, Monty, you always suggest, and you've worked with thousands of churches in planning and strategizing with them what's
Yes.
going to work best for their church and their community. And most often you suggest Tuesdays or Thursdays. Now, that's not set in stone, but we have found that they do work very well. Well, tell the guys why.
Well, absolutely. Guys, as you well know, you're going to be competing with a lot of activities outside, such as the NFL, the NCAA during the fall, and just springtime in the spring. Tuesdays and Thursdays are in the middle of the week, gives guys an opportunity to get out of the house, and it won't typically interfere with any of those other activities, so you don't have to compete. That's what's important, because we're trying to rally a big group. Now, one of the other things too, we have noticed that breakfasts tend to attract the same crowd of guys all the time, and that's really not the group you're trying to reach. So my tendency is to encourage you guys to avoid the breakfast times as well. Now, that doesn't mean that you can't use them, or you couldn't do it on a Sunday night or a Wednesday night. Whatever works best for your church is the best time to do it. But we've just found trends over the last 6 years and 2,000 churches what tends to work the best, and we want to try to pass those along to you today.
Right. And so keep that in mind in your planning, but whenever you have it, make sure it doesn't matter so much when it is, it's just getting it in there, getting it on the calendar.
That's right.
And making sure that it isn't conflicting with other events in your church, your community, or National Football League games or anything like that would interfere with the crowd that you're trying to draw in. Because Letters from Dad has, in a very unique way, I think God has anointed it to be able to reach out to those guys who normally wouldn't attend other men's events in the church. They will come to Letters from Dad.
That's right.
So you don't want to let these outside events interfere with that by holding it at a time where they won't come. They're going to be going to a game or watching it on TV or some other event going on. So keep that in mind. Tuesdays and Thursdays generally work best. We found that over the years, but it's not, like I said, set in stone. All right. We'll go back to the Letters from Dad timeline. You'll see this timeline here. It shows the promotion weeks before, at least 4. Okay. All right. You have to have a minimum of that. Then your kickoff event, and then there's some preparation time that you'll be doing in between before you get to that first section, and we'll be talking about that a little bit too later on. All right. That you'll have some time in between your kickoff and your first session. And we would ask that you would give us at least 3 weeks, 30 days if we can get it. But we'll go into that a little more detail a little bit later on. All right, here's a January-May suggested timeline. All right, we'll go over a couple of different seasons where Letters from Dad tends to be most successful. All right, and this is the January-May example. All right, Monty, kind of walk the guys through this.
Absolutely. And guys, when you're looking at seasons, deadlines for the delivery dates of the letters really play into the timing. And the January to May season is really one of my favorites because of real definitive deadlines. Now, you can have your kickoff anytime in January. It could be early, it could be the middle, or late. But you want to set up for that first letter to be written in early February. That way, guys can deliver that letter on Valentine's Day. And guys, nothing like giving a wife a love letter for Valentine's to really tee you up for this ministry. Then we're going to come back sometime maybe in March, and we're going to do children's letters. Now, what I'm suggesting is an Easter Sunday delivery. I mean, as we're celebrating the blessing of a risen Savior, fathers are blessing their children with letters of love. And boy, what a season to do that. Then the third would be in April. Now this will be letters to the parents. And guys, we've got Mother's Day and Father's Day right after that. And you just couldn't pick a better time to deliver those letters. Even if mom and dad have passed on, you're going to present those as letters of tribute, honoring mom and dad's legacy to be passed on to the children. And then lastly, sometime in May, the final letter that the men will write, and it's the one letter that they don't deliver personally, that the family will read after he's gone home to be with Jesus.
Right.
So it's a great season right there, guys, and it doesn't require a whole lot of commitment on the guys. Just an hour and a half, one time a month, January to May. And boy, that's a great little season to tee them up for the fall.
Right. Now, there's a lot of flexibility in these schedules. If
Absolutely.
you go early January, late January, you could even go early February. Just give us a couple of weeks from your kickoff and time to get the materials to the guys so that you can have that first session just before Valentine's Day and deliver that then. You can have your sessions 2 weeks apart, 3 weeks apart, depending on how you want to do it. Let's say you want to go a little bit later into the spring and maybe have your kickoff in perhaps March. Then that first letter on Mother's Day would go to your wife.
That's right.
The second letter to the kids, you can have a reverse Father's Day, and instead of the children giving you something on Father's Day, which they will anyway, you give a letter of love and blessing to them on Father's Day.
You know, Alton, there's another way to use those kids' letters, and it's something I've actually encouraged the churches to do, and that is to deliver those letters at the end of the school year.
Yeah.
It's kind of a rite of passage letter as they move up or graduate in some cases, and what a great time and a great season to deliver that.
All right, so there's a lot of flexibility in there, but there's some excellent event dates.
Yes.
And that's what you want to look for when you're planning letters from Dad is that Valentine's Day, that Easter Sunday, that Mother's Day, Father's Day sort of time frame to help your guys make those special holidays very special.
That's right.
By giving them an opportunity to deliver those letters during that time.
That's right. It's a great win-win scenario.
Okay, another very popular time
Yes.
with letters from Dad is August through November, and we'll walk through some of the scenarios that are possible during that time of year.
Now, guys, here's what's interesting about this season. You guys can kick this off right after school starts back up. And most everywhere across the country, it starts up somewhere in the middle to late August. This is when you can do your kickoff. Now, that tees you up for a first session in the middle of September. Now, this will be a very special letter to the wife. You can deliver it on a special date night. Just schedule a night, take her out. We've had some great testimonies of how guys have secretly had the letters delivered to the restaurant where they've taken the wives and the maitre d' brought the letter to the table.
Yeah.
Now, the second session would be in October, somewhere around the first week. We're trying to squeeze these in for a reason. Letters to the children, just invite them over for a special delivery time. The third session is near the last of October. This will be the parents' letters. And what I am suggesting, guys, let's deliver the parents' letters at Thanksgiving. Boy, what a timely time to say thanks to mom and dad. And then the final letter would be the third week of November. This will be the final letter. Again, it's the one that's not delivered, guys, till you go home to be with Jesus. But this season here, this formula here, will wrap it up before Thanksgiving. That way we don't have to compete with any of the holiday events. Now, that doesn't mean that you couldn't do a kickoff in September, go every 3 weeks, and wrap it up in December. You could even stretch this into October for a kickoff, have the first meeting in November, and have that wife's letter, tee that up for a Thanksgiving delivery. I mean, you think
Right.
about it, guys. What if you spotlight her, center stage in front of the whole family, and honor her on Thanksgiving?
Yeah.
Then you could do the letters for the kids and even the parents in late November, early December, and deliver those under the Christmas tree.
Yeah.
Merry Christmas, family.
Right, and we have many churches that use that particular scenario
Oh,
because it's perfect timing. You kick it off late September, early October. Get that first session in there. Deliver that letter to your wife there on Thanksgiving. Get the children's letters and the parents' letters written, and the next 2 sessions after that, deliver them at Christmas, and then go ahead and have that final meeting after the new year.
Absolutely.
All right,
That's
and
okay.
as you're starting off that new year, you're writing that final letter of your life, and putting that aside and saving it for your family from when you go on to be with Jesus. So there's a lot of flexibility in there, guys, but there's again some great delivery times in that August through November timeline. All right, and if you have any questions on these at any time, feel free to call Monty. He's worked with thousands of churches in strategizing, picking the best date for them that's going to work for them, and working them through all those strategies so that it's successful. All right, so call us anytime. We're here for you. We're here to serve you.
And especially, guys, with what you already have strategically in place for your men's ministry. Give me a call. We'll strategize. We'll talk about some brainstorming for strategic mapping out of a timeline based on what you already have planned. I've done this with a lot of churches, and it's really worked to help bring these guys up spiritually.
Okay, part of our planning and promotion is also understanding that Letters from Dad is much more than just a men's ministry.
Amen.
All right, Letters from Dad touches every ministry area within the church, and we're going to walk through those with you just so you can see that, so that your leadership team can touch base with each of the subjects in these areas of ministry. All right, first, of course, is the men's director.
Absolutely.
All right, which we're probably you're probably the one watching this this part 2 of the training right now. All right, also the senior pastor. All right, we would want them to be involved and part of the. Now we don't want them to lead it. They don't have to lead it because Letters from Dad is meant to be very lay-led, but we do want them involved in it, and we do want them to be aware of it, behind it, supporting it from the pulpit, and that sort of thing. And of course, one of the others is the women's ministry. All right, that's going to impact the women. And to tell you the truth, Monty, and we've found this, we've worked with thousands of churches. We found that the women very often get it about Letters from Dad much more quickly than men do. God has built into them an intuitive sense about certain spiritual things, and women get it. They see Letters from Dad and say, "Oh, this is different. This is going to change the hearts of the men of our church. We're behind it. We're going to get in there. We want to be involved." And I've even heard of women's ministry stepping up and saying, "Whatever you need at this kickoff event, we're here to help you do it. Decorations, food, whatever you need." I even heard one pastor wrote in, he says, "I told my women's ministry about it. I showed them the 9-minute overview, and they said, 'Pastor, we're not even going to help you with this. We're going to pay for the thing out of the women's ministry budget because we know the impact it's going to have.'" So get those ladies involved. Okay, your communications people, you're going to have advertisement. You get in the bulletin. Get on the church schedule. Get on the website. Get it out on Facebook. Let your communications people know about Letters from Dad. Get them on your team and help them communicate Letters from Dad throughout your church. All right, youth and children.
Pretty obvious here.
That's right. Let the youth director know what you're doing with Letters from Dad, because it's going to be impacting the kids that they work with every week. All right, and once they hear what it is and what's going on with Letters from Dad, they'll be great. They'll be very happy to get on board with you.
Well, Alton, believe it or not, we've had a couple of our churches that I've personally talked with that they actually had the children create invitations in Sunday school.
That's right.
For the kickoff event to take home to Dad. Yeah,
Dad, please sign up to come to the Letters from Dad kickoff. All right, so when you have your 6-year-old handing you something like that, it is effective in communicating that, Dad, you better be there.
Yeah, a little hard to turn that down.
That's right. Elders and deacons, of course, you want them involved. You want them on your team. They have a lot of influence throughout the church. Let them know what's going on, the kind of impact that it can have, and make sure you're communicating directly with them. All right, worship arts. All right, you'll want your worship arts team involved, and we give you tools to help you do that. There's a skit, a drama in Letters from Dad that they'll be happy to have. We actually have a Letters from Dad theme song written for us by a professional artist that we have full licensing for. You're welcome to use that also. So get that worship arts team involved, and there's some things in there that we're going to be sharing later that they're going to be able to use, and they're going to be happy to have. All right, outreach and in evangelism. Monty, we hear all the time. You see all the testimonies that come in about the kind of outreach and how Letters from Dad is really touching the hearts of men and really bringing them into a relationship with God that they never had before. Because now, you've talked with a lot of these churches, and you've talked with them after their kickoffs. What are they telling you? How is Letters from Dad reaching out into their community? I know you have some percentages on how many might be coming that are just your fringe guys or friends, neighbors, co-workers from your guys at the church. What do you usually see?
Well, I'm glad you brought that up, Alton, because it is an important component. Because think about it, guys. It's not hard for us to, as men, to invite our friends to a barbecue. Well, the interesting thing is that what we've seen nationwide is that the attendance at the kickoff event is typically 200 to 300% higher than you normally get to a men's event. And then the sign-up percentages are somewhere between 60 and 90%. And of those that sign up, 10 to 15% are folks that have never been to the church or are non-members. So this opens up an amazing outreach opportunity. And since we're going to be presenting the gospel in this program, you'll have an opportunity to see a new element of evangelism and outreach for your church with Letters from Dad.
Right. And then finally, a critical area that Letters from Dad is impacting is in the counseling and marriage renewal area. Now, as most of you know, if you've been involved in men's ministry for any length of time, you know that men don't really like to go to marriage renewal or marriage enrichment classes. All right, but Letters from Dad is backdooring them with probably the most powerful marriage renewal tool that they will ever have participated in or ever will. Because what can change, what can have more impact in a marriage than a man writing a letter of love, affirmation, and blessing to his wife? There's nothing better, all right. And we've have just hundreds of testimonies of wives that have written to us that have said what a difference it's made. This has been the best day of my life. You know, I will never forget this. Thank you, Letters from Dad, for coming to our church. You know, and so you want a marriage enrichment tool that these guys don't even know is happening at first. You bring in Letters from Dad, and you're going to have marriage renewal like you've never had before.
Amen.
All right, now we're not saying that you have to have a team member to communicate with each one of these areas, because we know, as most guys are, you know, they're wearing a lot of hats. All right, they've got a lot of things going. But if you have a good, solid team of about 3 guys or so, we're asking you just touch base with all these ministry areas. Let them know what you're doing with Letters from Dad, and ask for their support. That's all we're asking to do, and because Letters from Dad impacts every ministry area within the church. All right, planning and promotion. We're getting into that promoting phase, and I want to talk to you now about the tools that we provide. Now, of course, the first place that's obvious for your promotion is from the podium. All right, so that's where that senior pastor is going to be directly involved. All right, we give you a little bit of time up there, either through personal endorsement from the pastor, or letting you or one of your team get up there and then make an announcement about Letters from Dad, or a personal testimony from someone that has participated in Letters from Dad before. Come and give their testimony at the church, or give you an opportunity to play some of the promotional clips that we're going to be sharing with you in just a moment. All right, and if you'll turn to page 10 in your training manual, if you have it there, we're going to talk to you, and all the promotion materials are in this leadership pack. All right, that leadership pack that's on the screen there, that is your most valuable tool. Make sure you put that in the hands of your most trusted individual, because all of the things that we're going to be talking about and that you're going to be using in Letters from Dad are in that leadership pack. All right, here are the promo clips, the teasers. There's a 3-minute overview, gives you a good quick overview of Letters from Dad and what it's about. That'll be good if you have enough time on a Sunday morning. That's a great one. It gives you a good general overview. Then we have a 9-minute. You'll probably use that for your women's ministry groups, your elders deacon groups, a Sunday school class or whatever, that you want to give them a full overview of how Letters from Dad works and how it can impact churches. That's the one you'll want to use. Then we have one for a letter from a testimony from a young man. All right, he's telling the testimony that he had about a letter he got from his dad, and then one from a daughter. All right, there's also an excellent one. There's the Mark Harmon story of reconciliation of an adult son with his mom, who he had been estranged from for many years, and how in God's providence, they were reconciled through Letters from Dad. That is an amazing story. I would really encourage you to use that one. So as one of them, if you have time to do it. And then, of course, Jim Moore, A Son's Wish. And this is about an adult son and his dad, and the relationship they had. And that's also a very powerful and a powerful and touching story. Yeah. So there's a good variety and a good time, a variety of times also. And you can see here on page 10, there's 3 minutes, 9 minutes. There's one that's about 1.5 minutes. There's one about 2 minutes, 4 minutes, 1.5 minutes. All right, so you have a good variety, a good length of time. Fit it in where you can, whatever venue you have, and plug those in, because we found that that visual sort of media has been very effective in generating curiosity and getting those guys and the wives of those guys to go out to that sign-up table and get these guys signed up to come to the kickoff and just hear about Letters from Dad, because really there's not a huge commitment. You're just inviting them to come in, have some free food, have some fun, because there's a lot of fun things you can do at the kickoff, and hear about Letters from Dad. You're not asking them and putting them in the corner to do anything. You're just wanting them to hear about it. All right, now these ones down here, these are the kickoff videos. Don't use these during your promotion. All right, we're going to be showing you or giving you the opportunity to see these during our training today. All right, but don't use these. The Chaplain Shanup clip and also what we call the Holly clip. Don't use those during your promotion. All right, and there's also another one that's going to be in your kickoff that we don't want you to use, and that's the testimony of the Foxes, Mr. and Mrs. Fox. They give a great testimony there that answers the question, is this really worth it? All right, so don't use those during your promotion. You just use all of these that are up here. All right, also available in your leadership pack, and that'll be in the CD. That's the first disc in your leadership pack, are all these promotional materials that you can customize. There's the different sizes, and you can see there's all different kinds here. Posters, and you can customize them for your own liking. If you have Adobe Illustrator, or you can just take it to your printer and let them know what you want on there. They can do that for you. And so you have all of those tools. There's flyers, there's posters, there's bulletin inserts, all kinds of things like that. And we always have them ask us, Monty, even with all those other promotional tools, well, what works best? Guys want to get down to the bottom line.
That's right.
Well, all this stuff is great. Well, what's the secret? Okay.
What's the best?
All right. What works best? Really, one-on-one invitation works best.
Word of mouth.
One guy walking up to another guy and say, hey, will you come to this Letters from Dad thing with me at the church? Going to have some great food and just going to talk about how we can be better dads and husbands, and it sounds like it's going to be a lot of fun. And you hand them an invitation card, ask them to come. And we found that works best. We can have all these colorful posters, we can advertise on the radio and in the newspaper and all of that, but the thing that works best is one-on-one invitation. And we have a customizable business card. It'll be on the CD that's in your leadership pack. If you can't find it on there, just give us a call and we'll email it to you right away. All right, there's a picture of it, the front and the back. You can customize it, put your name and address and all that sort of thing on there. It's pretty easy to do, and it's very inexpensive. You can get about 1,000 of those made for $30, and pass them out all over town. So that's a pretty easy thing to do, and it's what works best. One guy inviting another guy to come. All right, during your 3-week promotional countdown, and again, it's going to be, we know that that's the minimum amount of time that's needed. All right, you can take more, and we would encourage you to take more if you can. There's a couple of different ways that churches do it. They'll either collect RSVPs, they'll get guys to sign up, or they'll sell tickets. Usually at a nominal fee. Money, they usually want $5 or
$5 to $8,
somewhere around
like
in there, just enough to kind of give the guys, put a little skin in the game,
That's
and
right.
maybe help cover some of the expenses. But either way works. It really depends on your crowd and what your people are accustomed to. We do encourage you, capture email addresses. I would also encourage you to get phone numbers. All right. Why? Because guys forget. All right. If they sign up 3 weeks before the event, when the event comes, they forgot.
That's right.
All right. So use those to send out reminders. And set up a call bank maybe a week before, and call all the way through everybody that signed up and say, oh, don't forget the event next Tuesday, be there, Oh yeah, that's right. And always encourage them, bring a friend. There's always room for one more. Bring a friend. Bring a friend.
Absolutely.
All right. Go to page 12 in your training manual if you have it, and we have kind of a sample, kind of a little scenario written out here for things you can do during the promo week 1, 2, and 3. And remember, that's the minimum of weeks that we recommend to promote Letters from Dad. And here's just kind of a guideline for something for you to go by as you're doing your promotion. That first week of promotion, you can get the press involved. Now, Monty, we haven't talked to the guys about getting the press involved, and there is a press release in the CD that's in your leadership pack. Plus, there is also other media type materials. There's a disc that has some of the promo videos on it. There's a print 8 by 11 printout that we had from the LA Times, or we were front page on the LA Times. You can bring to the radio station or to the local newspaper. But how many national newspapers has Letters from Dad been in?
Guys, you're going to be blown away. I have personally chronicled, of articles I have seen with my own eyes, 84 featured stories done on Letters from Dad all across this country. And there are many more that I just never saw. They said they got it in the newspaper, but I just didn't document it because I didn't personally see it. There's probably upwards of 100. The newspapers really do like this because it really dovetails into their media, which is the printed word, so they're going to love it. Plus, since it's got such a human interest angle, they love that. And then they need a local hook to make the human interest story effective. That local hook becomes your church, and they will mention the date and the time of your kickoff event, serving as a free ad. You cannot beat that, guys. It's well worth going and talking to them.
All right, so take advantage of that. Also, Greg Vaughn makes himself available for radio and newspaper interviews. You're not going to find many president and founders of companies doing that sort of thing, but we're a ministry, and he makes himself available for all of our Letters from Dad churches. So if you have a local radio station, local newspaper that would like to interview the founder of Letters from Dad, you call us up, let us know, and we'll do our best to get him on the phone with those guys so that they can do a personal interview with Greg Vaughn. All right, that'd be a good place to use your 3-minute promo clip, get some guys out there passing out flyers and talking to the men, have a kiosk out there. Remember to collect those email addresses and those phone numbers. Week 2, that'd be a good time to show another video clip. Those, again, are very effective. Maybe you can include a kickoff registration card in the bulletin. Get the guys to sign up and say, yeah, I'm going to be there. I'm going to come to that kickoff. All right, make it easy for them. Again, have your guys out there, have a kiosk out there. And that might be a good time, too, to do the skit. It's called Remembrances, Letters from Dad. It only takes 2 actors, minimal props, all right, and it's about a 2 or 3 minute skit, but it is powerful. All right, then week 3, this might be a good opportunity to do the barbecue sample stunt, okay? And these are the guys, the first group of guys that did it, and there's, of course, Greg there in the middle. But these 2 guys put together a plan. They said, we need to get more sign-ups, so we're going to do something a little bit different, all right? So what they did, they rolled up this giant smoker, and put it outside the church and smoked some chicken. All right. And of course, the smell went all over the place, and people are starting to gather around. What in the world's going on? And of course, nothing attracts men's attention more than the smell of grilled meat.
That's right.
So people were coming up from all over the place, and they were giving out samples of that smoked meat right in the church parking lot there. To the ladies were coming up, the kids were coming up, but when the guys came up, and they were looking for a sample, they didn't get one until they signed up to come to the Letters from Dad event. And they had a blast with that and really doubled their sign-ups because of that one stunt. So we heard about this church doing that, and we've just incorporated it and encouraged all of our churches to do that because it was so effective. Now, your church grounds, your church property may not be set up to maybe roll in a smoker. If you can, that'd be great. But if not, just bring those samples in trays and put them in the church. That smell is still going to go all over the place, and you can have a lot of fun with it. So we would encourage you to do that. It generates a lot of curiosity, and the guys get excited about it, and we'll have a good time doing that sort of thing. If you haven't done the drama, then go ahead and do that there in that third week also. All right, this is just a sample to go by. You can kind of fill it in how you want to and put whatever promotional sort of things you'd like to in there. All right, also on page 20 through 22 in your kickoff in your training manual, we have what's called the Kickoff Coordinator Check Sheet. And if you'll look through those on 20 through 22, you'll see that it goes up to 10 weeks before. All right, they've really stretched it out there, and it's just all kinds of tips and suggestions and ideas that you can use up to 10 weeks before your event. For those of you that are very administratively gifted, you're going to love that. All right. Now, you don't have to use all of it. Just take out of it whatever you'd like, whatever's going to be helpful to you, but it's there for you to use to help you in your planning. All right. Guys, we're getting ready to talk about the party itself. All right. And we've been in the planning and promotion of the party. But the real key to Letters from Dad is this fun event, this kickoff event, this party where guys can have a good time, have some great food, and it's important to have some good food, all right? And you can grill meat if you want to. That seems to be very popular with guys, but you can do all sorts of things, and we've heard everything from rattlesnake chili to boiler can sausage to crab feast, you name it. We've heard about it, and you see a picture of some guys there got all briskets all piled up. But it's about having good food and some fun and maybe some music too, and getting the guys together so you can tell them the story. All right. And we're wrapping up this planning and promotion section. If you have any questions, you can contact us at the number on your screen. We'll be happy to serve you in any way we can. Our next training session will be covering the actual kickoff itself and all the things that go on and all the tools that we provide to help you get through that easily, smoothly, be able to communicate the story and be able to get the guys signed up so that they can participate in Letters from Dad. Thank you for joining us in this planning and promotion phase. Monty, tell the guys goodbye and welcome them to that next session, part number 3.
Absolutely, guys. We look forward to working with you guys. And again, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to give me a call here at the office. God bless you.